Hello everyone, what's up and welcome back to another video. Today I'm bringing you a myriad of suggestions for witchy books. I know a lot of people like to read witchy books during the spooky season, and I thought maybe I can just suggest a few, and I ended up suggesting a lot. Before we get started, please remember to like the video, subscribe, and comment down below if you maybe have other suggestions that I will not be listing here. And let's just jump right into the video. The first book would be my all-time favorite book of last year, and the sequel is definitely one of my favorite books for this year, but it is The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. If you've been following me for a while, you would know I talk about these books quite a lot, especially since I read the sequel last week. If you want to go check it out, I'll link it up here. Was it here? So this book is basically about a group of girls who are at Westerly College in Savannah in Georgia, and at first glance they look like regular girls who live in a sorority. They're beautiful, they have high academics, you know, all that kind of things. But the secret they are keeping from everyone is that they are witches. And we follow two main characters. The first girl's name is Scarlett, and she is trying to become the next president of the Ravens, but there's something that happened in her past that might stop this from happening, and it's a very deep secret that she's keeping. And then we follow Vivi, who has never actually known that she's a witch, and she's trying to prove herself and become part of the Ravens. But the only thing standing in her way is Scarlett, because Scarlett doesn't believe she has Raven material. And when a dark force rises at the campus, they will have to band together to work everything out. It's kind of like a murder mystery situation. It is really enjoyable if you like witches, if you like YA, if you like drama and a little bit of romance. Pick this one up. The next book is Burnmark by Laura Pell. In this book, we follow Glory, who is destined to become a witch, and she also wants to build up the East End Coven in England. But the only thing standing in her way is the witch hunters, especially Lucas Stern, who is following in his father's footsteps of hunting down illegal witches. These are witches that aren't registered with the Inquisition, mainly because they don't want to be their puppets. A lot of witches that Glory knows haven't been registered. That puts her in danger as well as her whole coven. But then something happens that ensures that Lucas and Glory have to work together and put their differences aside. The next witchy book is one that I've read a long time ago, so I don't remember how it all ends. All I know is it's about witches. But it's Witchlanders by Lena Coakley, and this is about red witches who pray to the goddess every day, and they cast prophecies by throwing bones. And the one person who doesn't believe it is actually the person who all the prophecies are about. And there is an assassin who is trying to kill some of these witches, but the assassin is not someone you think. I think that is like the vaguest description I can give about this book. But this book has, from what I remember, a lot of magic, a lot of secrets, and a lot of twists and turns. My next suggestion is one of my favorite books of 2024 so far. I devoured this book in one sitting, and I really am excited for the sequel. But the first one is Crimson Moth or Heartless Hunter. I'm not going to try and pronounce the author's surname because I continuously butcher it, but I'm sure a lot of people know what this is about. This book is essentially about a witch and a witch hunter. My favorite kind of books. We follow Rune, and she has the secret that she is the Crimson Moth. She is trying to save witches, and the head of the witch hunters are like onto her, so they are trying to catch her no matter what. And the biggest person who is on her tail is Gideon Sharp, her best friend's brother. And she tries to portray this image that she's just a normal girl, she's high socialite that only cares about balls and whatnot, but underneath the surface, obviously, she cares about witches and is trying to save them. So Gideon and Rune basically get closer and closer to one another the more they spend time with one another, but there's always that secret in between them that Rune is actually a witch. And the question is Gideon gonna find out, or is it going to be smooth sailing? It is an enemies to lovers, two enemies. So yeah, I really love this book. Gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I think it's one of actually like my 6-star books for this year. It will not be a book recommendation video if I do not recommend you one of my favorite authors. Which I'm laughing because I feel like a lot of you guys are like, okay, yeah, we know who's coming. It is Kay Armstrong's Dime Store Magic. This is about a witch called Paige, and she is just coming into power. She wants to change the witch society around her, but the problem is if she does that, they will most likely kick her out because she's doing things different and they are old witches and they don't like change. To top it all off, she's also adopted a black witch's daughter called Savannah, and the coven doesn't really like Savannah because of who her mother was, so they kind of push Paige and Savannah away from them. All while this is happening, someone is plotting to take Savannah away from Paige, and Paige is trying her utmost best to keep her powers at bay without exposing herself to the whole community where she lives, while still trying to keep Savannah with her. It is action-packed. It is just all around a good time. I think you can read this as a standalone, obviously, but it will be more impactful if you start from the beginning. Then if you don't want to read about Paige and all that kind of jazz, you can jump directly into Waking the Witch, which follows Savannah when she is basically 21, 22 years old, and she goes to investigate things that are happening in a small town in Columbus, where there are some kind of witch activity involved, but it doesn't point to witches. So everything points to a cult that is keeping themselves to themselves on the edge of this town. Things are slowly starting to make sense for Savannah, and it might cost her her power in the end. If you like Nora Roberts, I think you will like this book as well. This is Morrigan's Cross by Nora Roberts, and this is a trilogy. I've only read the first book. So, you know, but this is basically about a sorcerer who is tasked by the Morrigan to train 5 other Morrigans across time so that they can defeat a dark and powerful vampire called Lilith. But while he is trying to train these, he comes across Glenna, who is a modern witch and she can make her own magic. And these two find themselves drawn to one another, but they can't kind of be in love because that will risk everything around them. So it's the question of will they, won't they, while trying to save the world. As I say, I've read this a long time ago, but I know I really enjoyed it, and I've been looking for the second and the third book. I recently got, I think, the second book, but I'm still out to look for the third book. Then another book I would like to suggest is Dark is the Wood. The crux of the story is we follow our main character who is going to go into a forbidden forest where she is hunting down witches so that they can teach her magic so that she can go back to her brother and save him from an illness that is taking his life. But while she's in these woods, she's hunted down by the dragon's son, who is a dragonborn, and he tells her that she is the dragon's mate and she will have to go with him to marry the dragon. Now she is trying to fight the clutches of the dragon to see if she can still save her brother. I did enjoy like tidbits of this book, but overarching I didn't enjoy it as much. It might be for someone else, but it is a mix of Beauty and the Beast meets Red Riding Hood with dragons. So if that is your kind of book, I don't know, maybe pick it up. The next book is The Shadow in the Glass by J.J.A. Harwood. This is about a girl named Ella, and she has been downgraded to a maid in the house because the woman who wanted to make her a lady unfortunately passed away, and her husband has no care for any of the girls. He's just like, you know, you were once a lady, but now you're just going to serve me. While she's in the library one day, she comes across this magical book where she reads it and discovers that the fairy godmother can actually grant 7 of her wishes, but the problem is with each wish she makes, she loses a part of her soul. And if by the end, when she uses all 7 wishes, the fairy godmother or the witch per se would take her away from this world. Now Ella is fighting to try and not use the last of her wish, only because the way the wishes are granted are very sinister and it costs lives. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 5 stars. This is what I wanted the Disney villain series to be about, basically. If you like bad guys winning a story, maybe pick this one up. Another witchy book I would like to suggest is Across Dark Seas by Claire Sager. This is about a girl who is trying to run from her family because they have put her in a marriage with someone that she really doesn't want to marry. She's in love with someone else. One day she elopes with her beloved, and now she is on the run from her family. They end up on a boat where they try to sail away from their country, and strange things start to happen to her that makes her question if her mother was right to say that she isn't really her biological child. I'm gonna leave it at that. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, it is a really action-packed story. It's got lots of fantasy. I think it's close to enemies to lovers, and the ending blew me away. The second last book is a book by T. Kingfisher, and I know a lot of people like their writing, and it is, I think it's a Bluebeard retelling, but I don't know Bluebeard, so I couldn't make the correlation. Anyway, it's about this girl who is being married off to one of those high nobles in the world, and once she gets to his house, she discovers that she's not the only wife he has, and that some of the wives have tried to escape, but things happened to them. And it's this magical Picasso type of book where this girl is trying to save all of the wives in this house while also trying to stop the marriage with this cruel and evil man. And it is really enjoyable. You can read it in one day, and it is so gripping. T. Kingfisher just knows how to write short stories, and they are definitely an author author for me. Then the last book is When Wishes Bleed by Casey L. Bond. This book is about a witch who is tasked to go to a castle because she read that the prince will be assassinated. They work under this guise of she is one of the contestants vying for his hand in marriage, and in the end they try and resist the pull they have for one another while trying to find this assassin. And it's a wonderful story. I really liked it. It really reads best if you read it as a standalone. I see the next books in the series are more of the next generation involved, and I don't think I will be diving into that, but I really did enjoy When Wishes Bleed. And that is it for my suggestions. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe. Give me your witchy suggestions down below, because I am always looking for a good witchy book, and I'll see you guys in a video next week. Bye!